Hello student, I'm Mr. Leung. So in this video, we are going to talk about the MC questions in the chapter 9 textbook. And there are only 2 questions, so that's why this video will be a bit short. So let's take a look at the first question. The first question is talking about which element is not normally obtained by the root of a plant from the soil. So for the answer, all of them are the elements: carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, and phosphorus. So that's why the first thing I need to remind you is that although the question may give you the elements, we need to develop the sense to convert the element to the molecules, to the compound, to the ions first. Especially for the iron, okay, because for the plant, okay, for the root, if they need to absorb the minerals, okay, they need to absorb it in the form of ions, because for the ions they are water soluble. And this concept is just like in chapter 6 when we talk about absorption. Okay, after digestion, we break down the food from compressed to simple, from large to small, and also from insoluble to become water soluble. No matter is either water soluble or fat soluble. Okay, once they are soluble, and then we can absorb it. So for the root, when they absorb minerals, so that's why we need to convert it into iron form first, and then we go through the answer one by one now. So for the first one, carbon, this element, okay, of course in our minerals examples, okay, we have nitrate, magnesium ion, potassium ion, and phosphate group. We can think about in another way, okay. So carbon, it should be in form of the carbon dioxide, okay. So let's think about it. If for the carbon, okay, of the root, okay, do they absorb carbon dioxide for their use? And the reason, okay, should be that for the carbon dioxide is used for photosynthesis. However, the root, they just cannot perform photosynthesis, so that's why they don't need to absorb carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. For this question, option A is already the answer. Okay, so for B, C, D, let's take a look as well. So for nitrate, the root, okay, it should absorb nitrogen, okay, in form of nitrate and ammonium ion. For hydrogen, you may ask, is it hydrogen gas H2? Of course not, because even in the atmosphere, there is no hydrogen gas. So that's why it should be in another form, okay? So it should be in water, okay? H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, okay? So, and then the last one, phosphorus, okay? So the plant can obtain phosphorus from the phosphate group. So that's why B, C, D, okay? They will be absorbed, okay, by the root from the soil. If the answer, okay, also include one more, for example, E, okay, it include oxygen, is also can be absorbed by the root because they absorb in the form of O2, okay, for respiration, right? So that's for this question. For this second question is a very typical experiment for the plant gases exchange. So that's why we have 3 boiling tubes, and inside these 3 boiling tubes we have a green leaf, and all of them, okay, they are placed under a well illuminated area. So that means there should be a very bright light source, okay, for all of them, okay, a light source for them, okay. So it seems like, okay, they are similar, but of course in every boiling tube, okay, we have something special and different from each other. So for example, for P, okay, we have the black paper covering the boiling tube, and then set up Q, we have the cotton cloth to cover the boiling tube, and R, okay, so we do not have any covering, okay, on the boiling tube. So for this question, we need to think about, okay, states the color of the hydrogen carbonate indicator in these 3 boiling tubes at the end of the investigation. So that's why we need to think about the light intensity first. So the first part, for the light intensity, for the tube R, okay, so you can see that there is nothing to cover the boiling tube. So that's why the light intensity should be the highest. So that's why, for example, at this moment, I put them 3 star, okay, for the tube R. And then for tube P, because there is a black paper covering the boiling tube, so that's why the light intensity should be very, very low, or what we can say that it should be 0, okay, no light at all. And for Q, okay, it will be the intermediate one because we have the cotton cloth. The light intensity should be in between tube P and tube Q. So that's why I put 1 star. Okay, so that's the first step. And then the second step is that we need to determine the difference between the rate of photosynthesis and the rate of respiration. So that's why we need to recall the concept of the effect of light on photosynthesis and on the respiration. So that's why for the first one, okay, we take a look at the tube P. For tube P, because there is no light, okay, and if there is no light, so that's why there should be no photosynthesis at all. So when there is no photosynthesis, so we can see that for tube P, the green leaf, okay, it only carry out respiration. So that's why for tube P, okay, it should be the photosynthesis, the rate, okay, should be slower, okay, should be lower than the rate of the respiration. So finally, in tube P, we should find that there should be a net release of carbon dioxide. And that's why in tube P, we can concluded that the carbon dioxide concentration should increase for tube P. And then for tube R, we know that the light intensity is very high. So that's why the photosynthesis, okay, the plants can carry out photosynthesis and the rate should be a bit higher. And that's why we can conclude that the rate of photosynthesis should be higher than the rate of respiration. And finally, we can conclude that there should be net uptake of carbon dioxide in tube R. And that's why for the carbon dioxide concentration in tube R should be lower than normal level. Okay, so that's the second step. So and then for the first step is that we need to consider the color change of the hydrogen carbonate indicator. So that's why you need to refer to these 3 parts. Okay. For the carbon dioxide concentration, if it is normal, okay, it should remain red. And if the carbon dioxide concentration is higher than 0.03%, so it should change from red to yellow. And if it's lower than 0.03%, it should change from red to purple. Okay, yellow and purple. So finally, we can conclude that, okay, in the choice A, B, C, D, in tube P, because the carbon dioxide concentration is higher than normal, so that's why it should change from red to yellow. And for tube R, because the carbon dioxide concentration is lower than the 0.03%, so that's why it will change from red to purple. So finally, actually, you can see that the answer should be D. And then we can also see the answer in tube Q. So for tube Q, the light intensity is in the intermediate. So that's why we can assume that the photosynthesis, the rate should be same as the rate of respiration. So that's why in tube Q, actually, it should be the compensation point. So refer to the definition of compensation point, you can see that actually it means at a certain light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis is same as the rate of respiration. So that's why we can conclude that there is no net gas exchange in the plant in tube Q. So that's why the carbon dioxide concentration should not be changed, okay, should remain the same. So that's why the carbon dioxide concentration will be still 0.03%, and then the hydrogen carbonate indicator should remain red. So that's why the answer is D. So that's the 2 questions in the chapter 9 textbook. So if you have any questions, so please leave it on the bottom, so I will answer you as soon as possible. See you next time. Bye bye.